Chipped ham and football. That's what Pittsburgh does. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the show. Brian Batko here with you, as always, one of the Post-Gazette Steelers beat writers. And this show brought to you by Pella. No better place to get new windows and doors installed in your home than Pella, who can help you save on energy costs year-round. Schedule a free in-home consultation with your local Pella windows and doors to find the right product for your home and your budget. Give them a call at 866-593-1560. To discuss your project further. That's 866-593-1560 to get started planning your new windows and doors installation with Pella Windows and Doors of Pittsburgh. The Steelers are 2-0. The Chargers are 2-0 coming to town for the Steelers home opener. So we're going to get into some preview talk for this big Week 3 game with ESPN.com Chargers writer Kris Rhim. We'll hear about the vibes going on with this team right now. Jim Harbaugh coming on as their first-year head coach. Justin Herbert, obviously, under center, and a bit of an unusual travel plan for them this week after blowing out the Panthers in Carolina before they head up here to Pittsburgh. We're going to talk to Kris Rhim on the other side. Thanks, as always, for joining us. There he is now, Kris Rhim of ESPN covering the Chargers. And I'll tell you guys what, right now, Steelers fans, he's not in LA. He's not in Pittsburgh yet. He's still in Charlotte because of this travel strategy situation, whatever you want to call it, from Jim Harbaugh. What's going on, Kris?
Doing well, man. Yeah, in Charlotte, downtown, figuring it out.
So basically, Harbaugh decided after playing the Panthers week 2, rather than go all the way back to LA and then fly back cross country to Pittsburgh, he's just going to stay down there all week, basically. Or when are they heading up to Western PA?
Yeah, all week. They'll fly out Saturday. They're staying downtown, staying out here. It's a lot of rain. We don't get rain really in LA ever, so there's a lot of rain out here, which he said is he's excited for. They need a rain practice, so.
As a beat writer, you're just like, all right, I guess I'm hunkering down in Charlotte for the week. I live here now, pretty much.
Yeah, literally. I mean, I love Marriott points. I take the points, but it's girlfriend's not too happy.
Where are they practicing, Kris? Are they at a facility or?
Yeah, they're at a UNC Charlotte, the college here. Yeah,
gotcha. Well, the Steelers have a few UNC Charlotte guys, so maybe they can get some intel passed back up here from the 49ers if Harbaugh's not keeping it too locked down there. But obviously he's doing some things a different way. Probably extends to more than just that as a longtime college coach with NFL experience prior to that, but now back in the league. What's the overall vibes right now with this team? I mean, 2-0 is nice. Raiders and Panthers are not exactly world beaters, but that week 1 win aging pretty well after Vegas went and beat the Ravens in Baltimore. It seems like this hasn't been one of those experiments that players aren't getting down with, just from seeing stuff that you're writing and other people around the Chargers. It seems like the team is kind of rolling with Harbaugh.
Yeah, guys are bought in. I would say that I think a lot of the guys on this team are kind of cautious about being happy about this. I think because of the history of this team and where they've been, a lot of the guys on this team experienced a 27-0 playoff defeat. They were up 27 points and lost Jacksonville a couple years ago.
Yeah, the Brandon Staley era had a lot of embarrassing moments, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. It's like two playoff wins, I think, over the last 11 years. They've had good teams that in the preseason are expected to play. So
it's rosters for sure.
Yeah, so it's kind of cautious optimism, I guess. I think guys were bought in, guys like Harbaugh, but I think they recognize who they played, and they also recognize that we essentially last year they won 2 games and lost 2 games on three different spans. So I think guys are a little less excited than I expected them to be, maybe about the way the season started. And I think they know Sunday is kind of their first real test.
Yeah, that'll be interesting at 1 p.m. Eastern here Sunday in Pittsburgh with another, a Harbaugh-Tomlin matchup. They only coached against each other once back when he was with the 49ers, and the 49ers came out on top in that one. Does it seem like that he's getting the most out of Justin Herbert. I know that was a big, part of the Staley era that, was disappointing, I guess, was that you've got this, superpower quarterback and they still couldn't get over the hump. How's he playing thus far through 2 games? And I guess he's doing it at a little bit less than 100%, right? He had a camp injury that has hampered him a little bit.
Yeah, Justin's been it's been a different start for Justin. Like these, it's the first back-to-back games of his career. He's attempted 30 of less than 30 passes. He hasn't thrown for more than 150 yards in either game, which is, insane for him. It's like 2 of the 3 lowest passing games of his career. But they haven't needed him. They haven't needed him to do that, right? Like they've been able to run the ball. Their offensive line has been dominant. I wouldn't say he I wouldn't say, he's been stellar or I think he's been all right. He obviously in limited spans to throw the ball. He's made a couple plays against the Panthers that were crazy where he extended the play and, he's getting hit and he's throwing the ball, one arm. He also had a fumble though, and a pretty bad interception. Interception, which was, kind of uncharacteristic of him, to JC Horn. He kind of just threw it right to him. So, he's been all right. I think, he has an injury now. We don't know. We'll find out tomorrow what it is. Harbaugh doesn't specify until the injury report comes out, but it's a lower right leg and looked like an ankle. He was limping after his news conference on Sunday. So, we'll see how that holds up this week.
Well, he had a foot injury in camp? Is that what it was?
Yeah, plantar fascia injury. But that injury, it didn't really hamper him. Like it hadn't hampered him at all in camp. Like we never saw Justin. The injury was surprising because the day he was diagnosed, he was running. He ran for a couple touchdowns at practice, and then this happened. And then after he was out of the boot, there was no limping. There was never even in the games. The first time we seen him limp was after Sunday. So, we'll see.
I was going to say that's one thing the Steelers and Chargers have in common, in addition to being undefeated, is early camp injuries to the starting quarterback. Of course, the Steelers QB1 Russell Wilson still on the mend after that sled pushing issue with his calf at age 35. The Chargers do a lot of that kind of stuff too, don't they, Kris? They've got this new strength and conditioning staff that Harbaugh brought with him from Michigan. So, there's been a lot of consternation over that Russell Wilson snafu here in Pittsburgh, but the Chargers are all about that sled pushing and pulling, aren't they?
Yeah. Ben Herbert, who's actually from Pittsburgh, who's their director of strength and conditioning. They do these fourth quarter finishers every day after practice, which involves sled pulls and different kinds of workouts that Jim takes part in too.
Okay. I don't know if I could picture Mike Tomlin doing that, but I guess that's the Harbaugh effect for you. What's been the strangest Harbaugh interaction or quote or presser thus far through, well, I guess 2 weeks of the regular season, but I'm sure stuff was happening in preseason and in camp and even OTAs before that too. Yeah,
there's so many to choose from. I think maybe the most interesting one was probably when he was talking about he compared the first day of training camp to like childbirth, and he was saying like it's like being born, and he told the players he remembers being born. So that was a funny one, but there are too many. I think the first day of OTAs he said something. He also said something similar to like, people. I don't know. He compared it to like religion and Christmas and stuff like that. But he said this is the day, and he's just every day is something.
Do you think players were skeptical of that at first? Did he do any other sort of like college type tactics? Because here in Pittsburgh, there's always discussion of, okay, they haven't won a playoff game in 7 years. If they do decide to go in a different direction from Mike Tomlin, what would that look like? They've had him at the top for so long, but clearly new coaches can come in and do things differently. It doesn't always work out, and sometimes change isn't always for the best. Has there been any sort of pushback, like any sort of strange tactics that he took on early that it looks good right now at 2-0, but maybe at the time it seemed like players were like, what's going on here?
No, I honestly don't think so, right? Like I think that the other thing with any coach, and especially with a coach like Jim, who's so kind of different.
Yeah.
It's gonna, when you start losing, it's gonna go bad. Like people are same thing with Brandon Staley. It's when you're winning, it's good. When you're losing, it's bad. Especially with a guy who's making you do all these different things. The thing about with Jim and a coach like Jim or Mike Tomlin or anybody you want to name that's a good coach is that he when he walks in the building, he has a respect that only like a handful of coaches have, because players know what you've done. And like the guys in the locker room have like been dying for, wins. Like they want to win really badly. And they feel like they have a guy who has done that, who it's proven. Like Joey Bosa has said this a bunch of times. Like he's not, like he said, Jim Harbaugh is not guessing.
Right.
Like it's a product that's worked. It's a strategy that works. So I think right now, if Jim told them to do 30 backflips and eat their food, eat their I don't know, soup with a fork, they would do it. If you know what I mean, because they're winning and he's won. But again, if they lose 4 straight, that'll change.
Yeah, I mean, he made it to the Super Bowl with the Niners, and we know what he did last year with Michigan national championship, and he's kind of making Ravens West out there a little bit, bringing over a lot of people who worked or played or coached under his brother John in Baltimore, which the Steelers are intimately familiar with, playing them twice a year, sometimes 3 times a year. What's the Greg Roman offense looking like, and have they rejuvenated J.K. Dobbins out there? Because it seems like he's been one of the league's best running backs so far through 2 games.
It's interesting, too, because I actually covered the Ravens last year, so I was also a part of this move to the West, I guess. But I think I don't think they rejuvenated J.K. Like J.K. has always been like, when J.K. plays, he's like unbelievable. It's just
need to get healthy.
Yeah, is he gonna play the full season, right? Like when he plays, he's always done this. Like this is, I don't think anyone's surprised about how well he's played. It's just, can he stay healthy? I think Greg Roman's offense so far, man, it's looked great. He's done a lot of cool formations, like against the Panthers, he had Joe Alt at like left guard next to Rashawn Slater at one point. It looked, the way it looked was fascinating, interesting. Didn't think they would have him like that. So I think this offense has also been kind to Quentin Johnston. I think last year the team kind of used him in ways that maybe wasn't the best for him. Like he was just running a lot of streaks and deep routes, whereas here he's on screens, he's on sweeps, he's on underneath routes. You see he has 2 touchdowns. So I think all good so far through 2 weeks with Greg Roman.
And it's funny because I feel like when the Ravens went in a different direction from him, a lot of the outside perspective is like, all right, this guy's just, he needs to get with modern football. He's kind of hit his expiration date in this Lamar Jackson-led offense. So I'm sure he's got plenty of motivation to show people that he can still get it done in the NFL. And, clearly, like we talked about at the top, at least at quarterback, no lack of talent there. And we'll see what goes on with the receiving core. How's old Steelers buddy Bud Dupree doing out there for the Chargers? Look like he's maybe more of like a rotational guy at this stage of his career, Chris.
Yeah. Bud is a ball of energy. He's like the hype guy in the room, in the locker room. He's always joking around.
He used to do a show for the Steelers website called Bud Brought a Buddy, and he would like interview players himself. So maybe he's going to be in our industry someday. But that's good that it sounds like he's still having a good time out there. He was always a pretty jovial player in Pittsburgh, at least once he broke out and kind of shed that bust label from the first few years.
Yeah, he needs to be on somebody's show or podcast or something after the way he is. But he played like 30 snaps last game. So he plays a decent amount. They rotate guys pretty frequently. I don't know if that's because of who they were playing, and also they've had Leasley. Also, Joey Bosa has like a back thing. So I think once they got up, they didn't play him much anymore last week. But Bud's played a decent amount. They want to rotate those guys. They also do these 4 edge rusher sets with Khalil, Joey, Bud, and Thule. So you'll probably see that Sunday a couple times. So he's been good so far.
Yeah, this will be a test for sure for Justin Fields, assuming he's under center again in week 3. I always like to ask, whether it's national writers or opposing beat reporters too, just for kind of your 10,000 foot view of the Steelers. I mean, I know you've been locked in on the Chargers for these first couple weeks, but from what you have seen thus far and in your research and just even what you thought of them throughout the offseason, what do you make of this team? And certainly the quarterback situation, which has garnered national buzz and headlines here, unlike anything the past couple years with Kenny Pickett and Mitch Trubisky.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Steelers are I don't know. I think they're kind of in the same spot they've been from my vantage point, like the same spot they've been in the last couple of seasons, right? Like they have a ceiling and they have a floor, and the floor is very high, and the ceiling is, like from my vantage point, doesn't seem as high. It's like they're you look at.
Yeah, I don't think you're saying anything different than a lot of us say. So don't worry, you can speak however you want. We don't care about the mean comments that it might trickle in.
Yeah, no, I'm just gonna say, yeah, it kind of seems like a team that's gonna be good. Like they'll be good, but they probably won't be great. Like they're not a team where I'm like, oh, they're gonna win the Super Bowl or something like that. But they're a team that's like they can win double digit. They can win 10 games. They can win 11. They can win that division the way
they're 2-0, and
everybody else
and Ravens 0-2. Yeah.
Exactly, they can win that division. So yeah, that's how I look at it. It depends. It's all up to the quarterback, as you probably know. If Justin Fields or Russell Wilson ends up becoming like one of the league's best quarterbacks this season, then the Steelers can go wherever.
Yeah, that's going to be the major question week in and week out here. I mean, there's already people wondering if Fields has done enough in a couple games to take this job and run with it, or if Russell Wilson, if he gets healthy, which Mike Tomlin himself has said is a big if last Tuesday, will they turn back to him under center after naming him that guy? And I mean, I guess Harbaugh has seen plenty of Justin Fields over the years too, in the Ohio State Michigan rivalry. I'll have to go back and look and see how Fields did in those meetings, but it should be a good one on Sunday. I mean, Herbert torched the Steelers 2 or 3 years ago when they played the Chargers, and they nearly came back, but I mean, he was dominant in that game, and I guess it'll be interesting to see if the Steelers can stop the run. If this is a week that he does have to look a little bit more like old Herbert and sling that thing around to receivers who maybe a little bit better than people might have expected coming into this season.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think it might end up being that way with the defensive line over there, and
Broncos couldn't get anything going. I mean, the Falcons had a little bit early, but then they shut it down after that and put Kirk in. They put Kirk in hell after that for sure.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it might be a game where we see that old Herbert, and they've talked about wanting to they'll win whatever way they have to win. So let's see if the proof is if that's true.
Yeah. Now, as far as this arrangement here for the Chargers, do you feel like this is ultimately going to be good for them that they're staying out here on the East Coast, or do you feel like living out of a suitcase? I guess it's easier when you're a NFL player and they're doing all your laundry for you and you're just hunkered down. I mean, what is the team doing to kill all this time, let alone what you and the other reporters on the road are doing to kill all this time this week? Because it's only Tuesday, Chris.
Yeah,
it is only Tuesday.
I had no clue what they're doing, but I've seen a couple of the guys, walking around and stuff like that. But I think whether or not it's a good thing, I think in theory and practice, not getting your body acclimated to the East Coast time is ideal, in theory, but also sleeping in your own bed is good. Having the routine that everybody has a routine, right. From you and I to these guys. And I think routine is important for a lot of these guys. So I wonder how well or how much the team has aided the players so that their routine can be as close to what it is in LA as what it is here in Charlotte. I think that's important.
Because I just can't imagine Mike Tomlin doing this. I mean, he's a creature of habit to like even when they played in London like 10 years ago, I mean, I think they went out still basically 2 or 3 days before the game when a lot of teams stay out there that whole week. So, yeah, the Steelers aren't usually ones for the extended travel schedule. They like to do everything at their facility and then go. So I'm kind of fascinated by this Harbaugh. I know it's not completely foreign. The Niners have done stuff like this too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I also think it's pretty interesting from a writer perspective. You're living out of a suitcase and you don't have team equipment managers to get everything in order for you.
Literally, no, not at all. So yeah, it's not ideal for sure for me, but we're figuring it out.
Absolutely. Well, I guess it was Harbaugh who said bring some board games and watch movies together as a team. Maybe it'll be a good bonding experience for them.
Yeah, for sure.
As far as you, Kris, have you been to Pittsburgh before? Is anything you're looking to do when you're out here this weekend when you finally leave Charlotte?
Yeah, actually, I'm from Philly, so a bunch of my friends went to Pittsburgh, and so a bunch of them still live there, and will actually be in town for the game. So looking forward to getting back. And I had a good sandwich last time I was in Pittsburgh, so I'm trying to get that again.
Yeah, it's definitely a good food spot for sure. Plenty of good food you can find around the city and all the different neighborhoods. So, well, hey, I think that's pretty much all I got for you. Is there anything else that's kind of percolating right now with the Chargers that Steelers fans should know about? Because they're kind of out of sight, out of mind a lot of times on the West Coast and in the AFC West.
Nothing else really with the Chargers, man. I think Jim respects the Steelers a lot. He said yesterday, like, there's an aura there, and we're gonna find out what we're made of. And he hasn't really talked about anyone else in that way. So I think
say that about the Panthers.
So I think he's really excited for the game, and he knows what they're in for. Everybody does, so it'll be fun, I think.
Yeah, for sure. Harbaugh coming here is different Harbaugh than usual, but they're always slugfests when his brother brings his team to Pittsburgh and vice versa. So who would have thought both these teams 2-0 going into week 3 and trying to jockey with the expected powerhouses in their respective divisions. So it should be a fun time. Thanks so much for hopping on with me, Kris. For Kris Rhim of ESPN, I'm Brian Batko here from the Chip Hammond Football Podcast from the Post-Gazette. Appreciate you joining us. As always, we'll have more shows throughout the week with Chris Carter, Ray Fittipaldo, and myself, and plenty of coverage when the Steelers get back to practice on Wednesday. And coming up here later today, we've got Mike Tomlin's press conference. So we'll see what he has to say about the quarterbacks and everything else. All right, Kris, have a good one, man. Enjoy the rest of your stay in North Carolina. We'll see you up here in Pittsburgh. All right.
Thanks, man.
Yep, we'll see you.
Thank you for checking out this content from Post-Gazette Sports. If you watch this video on YouTube, please like the video and subscribe to our channel. For all of the sports coverage the Post-Gazette has to offer, visit post-gazette.com.